G'day guys, this is AussieStig. Welcome to my review of the Vesaro Stage 6 Pro Motion Simulator. Vesaro were kind enough to supply me with a partially assembled Stage 6 rig. After the upcoming rig assembly slideshow, we'll head over to Vesaro's website and check out their homepage. Before we get stuck into this review, let's see how this amazing bit of kit went together. Alright, here we are at Vesaro's website, and we'll just scroll down for a quick overview of what Vesaro actually offers for sale, and that can start with the basic chassis or even go right up to a complete F1 replica. Well, in a moment we'll head over to the configurator to compose your own rig, so you can decide what equipment you'd like, what options you'd like, monitors, VR, you can choose different seats, different mounting options for shifters, handbrakes, etc. Combining that with, for instance, the modular GTF conversion kit, which offers you a similar seating position to either a Formula car or a GT car. So basically you can tailor the rig to your needs. It's truly a modular system which gives you almost unlimited options to get your rig together. Okay, so that was a quick overview of Vesaro's website. Let's head over to Assetto Corsa. We'll be sitting in the Gt3 and doing a AI race around Zandvoort. And while we're doing that, we'll have a bit of a chat about the rig itself, the features. So enjoy. Okay, here we are in the Gt3 at Zandvoort, and let's have a bit of an AI race, and at the same time we'll chat about some of the specs of the rig. First thing that comes to mind for the simulator is the classic Vesaro tubular chassis shape. Very recognisable amongst sim racers and the sim racing community in general. The Vesaro gives you a GT seating position. This particular frame that I have here is actually fitted with mounting arms on both sides of the rig. So in effect I can add a shifter or a handbrake to either the left or the right hand side, which makes it very flexible. Next up we have the D-Box 3-inch Gen 2 Acm Actuators, one on each corner, have a travel of 75mm or nearly 150mm from 0 to its maximum and back again. They're extremely fast. They have a maximum velocity of 100mm per second, which gives you good latency in games and gives you a great feeling when you're in either an open wheel or a closed top car with a very stiff suspension. The way the rig reacts gives you a good sense of control. You have a lot of feedback. You can really feel what the car's doing. You can feel the rear losing grip, you can feel the front understeering. Everything contributes to a really great immersive experience, especially when you're driving in VR. Following that we have a direct drive wheel which runs SimuCube software, and the direct drive base itself is specially developed for Vesaro, so it's not a standard off the shelf OSW wheel, it's actually a special version of that wheel. Also, we have a Pro Gt3 wheel rim with multiple buttons, encoders and toggle switches, bound in leather, very comfortable to use. Then we have a set of 3 Pro pedals, combining that with the modular GTF conversion kit, which offers you a similar seating position to either a Formula or a GT car. It basically raises your heels a bit higher in the air, so you get that stretched out feeling with your legs. We have a real racing seat, which is extremely comfortable to sit in, especially on long races. It gives you that great lateral support when the rig's bouncing you around. And attached to the seat we also have the 4-point self-tensioning harness system, which replicates braking G-forces extremely well. We have a 5.1 surround sound system with the 5 main speakers fitted to the chassis itself, and on this chassis is also a multi-purpose mount to the right hand side of the seat, which can also be fitted to the left hand side. You can stipulate that when you order your rig. The Stage 6 also comes with a butt kicker, which is connected to a fairly sizable amp and gives good tactile feeling through the seat. And that was a look at Vesaro's Stage 6 ProMotion specs. Next up we'll take a look at D-Box's Game Center software. Okay, here we are in D-Box's Game Center software. In the first window we see the motion code. There's a list of titles that are supported by D-Box. The first thing that happens when you install D-Box software, it searches your computer for installed titles and then activates them in this list. Well, the second tab in this window is Global Settings. We are able to go to the control panel. We have default settings, and we have global level, motion and vibration balance, output buffer latency, platform optimization and actuator stroke. The last 2 are set to standard and automatic. Going out of there, we can go back to the motion code window. The first title selected, which is Assetto Corsa. At the bottom you have a settings button. We click on settings, and then what we get is a motion code settings window, which also has the main level slider for movement and the main level slider for motion and vibration balance. Head over to the second tab, which is the motion profile editor itself, and here we can see the effects that are adjustable in-game. You have the front and rear intensity, the left and right intensity, and up and down intensity. Other titles such as iRacing have more parameters that you can adjust. If we head over to iRacing and then go into the motion profile editor and scroll down, you can see that there's a few extra parameters included. For instance, gear shift intensity, crash damping, suspension intensity, and then the other ones are similar to what Assetto Corsa has. And that was a look at the software. So for the rest, the UI is fairly simple to use. It basically does what it says on the tin. Okay guys, here we are in the Riley Daytona Proto at Bathurst in iRacing. We're about to head out on the circuit and do a couple of laps, and while we're doing that we'll have a little chat about Vesaro's Stage 6 ProMotion Simulator. We'll talk about how it handles and how it feels to drive and my thoughts on it. So let's get out on circuit. Okay, out of the pits, onto Mountain Straight, up a gear, up another gear. First thing that comes to mind is how floaty the car feels. It feels like a real car suspension. Especially going under the Pettus Bridge, you feel that lightness. The car rises and then falls on its suspension. Coming up for the first right-hander, powering up towards the cutting now. Yeah, you can almost forget that you're in a simulator when you're driving such a setup as this. Up through the cutting. Even with the settings on 40, it's quite lively. It does take a bit of concentration when you're driving like this, because we're in VR and motion's throwing you about just like it would in a real car. Even if it looks a bit slow motion, when you're actually in it, the rig just reacts really well to the input it's getting from the telemetry in iRacing. Having all the D-Box actuators on all the 4 corners of the rig is really cool. It just gives you that suspension feeling. Coming up towards the dipper. Close to the walls as you dare. Second gear here. Going towards Forest Elbow now. Okay, get to Forest Elbow, brake hard, keep it close to the wall, power out onto the outside wall, onto Conrod Straight. Yeah, so the rig itself is set up really well. It's well engineered. It has everything to hand that you need. Everything's in the right spot. The GT conversion system really a bonus for this rig, because you have your legs up a bit more horizontal, so you have that GT seating position. Braking now. Down to second. Gets a bit loose around there. Short shift to third. Under the Armorall Bridge. Okay, and we're coming up to the end of the lap, so let's do another one, because this one was pretty shit. Okay, here we go, over the line. Yeah, so the rig is giving you that immersion, that feeling of having to actually work, which I really love, the idea of physically interacting with how the car's handling and how the rig feels. But I have to say, the whole system, everything is really cohesive. Every optional item that's on the rig has a function. It's not superfluous to the rig itself. You can really see that Vesaro spent a lot of time perfecting the design, getting it to the stage where it's one of the most popular high-end simulators in the world. It really does give you that experience of driving in a car. It almost feels like the real thing. I've been on the Nordschleifer in a real VLN car, and I have to say that the experience of all the bumps and the way the circuit lies when you're driving a real car over it is not much different to this, except for the G-forces. That's about the only thing that differs. It's a big thing, of course, but just the idea that you're interacting with the car and the circuit the way it should be. You're really in the game. You're so immersed that you sort of forget about everything else, which is what you want when you're sim racing or sim driving. It is something that you can start off with as a modular system, so basically you can start with the classic Vesaro frame and then take that up a notch with the GT pedal conversion set, throw a real racing seat on it, and then add your stuff. So you could add any of the major manufacturers' wheels or any of the currently available direct drive OSW wheels. As far as the equipment goes, the sky's the limit really. Vesaro even sells a VR version of this, so VR ready, including their own computer, which is spec'd out for VR, and the headset. Or you can go for the huge triple monitors that you usually see associated with this rig. Personally, I prefer VR because it's just much more realistic, much more immersive. I feel like I'm in the car, and that's how it should be. There's no real downsides to this rig. The only big hurdle really is how high do you want to go with your budget. The D-box actuators add so much realism to the rig itself. Everything else just works in conjunction with that so well. It just pushes you to go faster. You want to go faster, you want to push harder, you want to get better lap times. Everything's more precise, out of this world as far as I'm concerned. Summing up the Vesaro Stage 6 Pro Motion Simulator, Vesaro sells this Stage 6 as I'm driving it now for around £33,000, which is quite a bit of money. A large proportion of that is the D-box system itself. The Quad 4 3-inch system that we're using here is around £20,000. And the rig itself, the finishes are super high quality. Everything that is attached to it is the same, right down to the 5.1 surround sound system with 5 satellite speakers. Every little thing on the rig is just perfectly executed. All the mounting brackets, everything is well thought out. There's lots of room for all types of peripherals. You name it, you can put it on there. The 3 pedal set, for instance, really cool. Great brake feel, great throttle, heavy throttle, which is what I like. I'm extremely fortunate and I'm very grateful that I was able to have this Stage 6 rig in my studio for a number of months. I can't speak highly enough of the dedication of Vesaro and what they've produced, and they've come a long way from just a simple chassis design, so hats off to them for doing such a great job with this rig. In my experience with the rig, being able to have it partially assembled and then finish the assembly myself, I appreciate that a lot because it gave me good insight into how the rig goes together. I would like the steering wheel a little bit higher or the seat a little bit lower, one of the two. You really do get an experience like no other. The absolute feeling of driving a car and being extremely physical while doing it. At the end of the day, that's really what it's about. I really hope you enjoyed the Vesaro Stage 6 promotion rig. Please do hit the like and subscribe button. Stay tuned for more to come from AussieStig.